Friends, welcome back to Andy's Rec Room. This is part 2 of the Tonearm build. The first part was all the framework, how to assemble the printed parts with the carbon tubes and get the whole mechanism nice and solid and ready for wiring and finally tuning. Today, I'm going to talk a little bit about the wiring. The project always has to be centered around DIY for me. That's the whole ethos of this. But some of the methods I'm using are a little bit perhaps eccentric, different. One thing I did for this Tonearm, I used transformer wire. It's very fine, conducts really, really well, and above all, I had it available. It was a perfect storm. Had the parts, works great, and I decided to go with it. I've built several Tonearms using this method. A couple of my turntables are out there being used very regularly, no issues whatsoever. Reports coming back are just flawless performance. So I know this type of wiring will hold up for quite a while. Now, any kind of wire we use eventually might disintegrate or crack or whatever have you. But the nice thing about this wire is it's cheap. Let's start off with what kind of wire I'm using. I have 2 examples here. And this first wire was the one I was using pretty much exclusively. It's a lot more work because what you have to do to make this guy work is you have to scrape off the enamel. It won't melt off and tin. It's a bit more work. This is very high quality wire, Temco wire, very, very nice. It works really well, but a lot more work. Another wire I'm experimenting with now is a simpler one. The enamel is designed to basically burn off. So when you tin it, the insulation comes off and it's ready for soldering. What I do for the actual arm is I prepare 4 lengths of 20 inches. Now, these guys eventually are going to end up in this tube here. This tube is 3/32 K&S aluminum tubing. I'll have the link for this as well. I've cut it down to 260 millimeters. Yes, I'm mixing inches and metric. I am old enough to have gone through both, so I'm allowed to, okay? That's the privilege you get as you get older. So, 260 millimeters, good to go. And on that, I'm going to be adding these mysterious little bumpers that I showed you in the previous video. Now, the way they work is, you have to have a little bit of elbow grease here to get this sucker in there. So what you do is basically pop it in there, give it a squeeze. Pop it in there, push it in. Now, what you'll notice, and it might be a little bit hard to see on here, but there's a little trough. The part's the same on both ends, but the one that's important is your head shell end. So how this works is, you got to push the rubber guy right to the end, so he's just flush with the hollow, and the wires come up through here, and then they basically shoot up and they can get to where they got to go. This is a cool way that I was able to get the tube somewhat isolated from the rest of the Tonearm. And, you know, if everything goes to hell, you can just yank it out, rewire it, and set it up again. There's no fishing through stuff, nothing complicated really, like, you know, if you have a really sort of fixed Tonearm where you got to take things apart. This method is quite simple and it works really, really well. So I'm going to jump to another video very soon on how to, you know, make one of these wires. I will show you that. So what you have here is one that I will demonstrate how to make it. So what happens with these guys is all 4 of them are going to go into here. And they do actually feed through. I'm just clumsy this morning. And there we go. So I just want to show you the reason why the recess has been formed in the rubber. So as it goes up, the wires can just feed up through there. And in the head shell end, it will work as such. So what you're going to have is, you're going to have all 4 of the transformer wires popping up through here. And you're also going to have, so I brought out the other wire here, you're going to have a little bit of this very flexible silicone wire for the ground. The way I ground this tube is I bring it back through left ground on the Tonearm cartridge negative. It's been working really, really well. I mean, there are other schemes you can use. Some of the head shells have different grounding, or rather the cartridges have different grounding schemes. So you might have to experiment with that. But taking the contact from here to the cartridge left negative has been working really well. I know Rega and some other companies use the same scheme. You could also probably add another wire to it and just, have a drain going that way for the snarf that's picked up on here. But that's really up to you guys. It is a DIY project, and I know a lot of people won't even bother making the cables. They'll just buy some really nice pre-made cables and just run with it. And why not? They're all going to be fantastic. The only thing you might want to consider is if you use a heavier gauge cable, you might have to thicken up the aluminum tube. That would just mean, boring out the rubber a little bit and making a slightly bigger hole. It's not a big deal. So that would be the modification you'd have to do there. So that's how we get the wires to basically feed through and get to where you have to go. Now, a couple important parts here. I'm just going to talk about what we're working with in terms of making the actual cable. I use these D-sub connectors. They're inexpensive and they work really well. They attach so nicely, and if they get loose, just give them a little push and they just bite again. They've been working really, really well. They're the perfect size. They work extremely well, and I'm extremely happy with them. The other connectors I'm working with, I got this really cool waterproof kit. It comes in 2 parts. I'll have links for these at my favorite local shop. They do ship, and they're absolutely fantastic. So what you do with this part basically is one end, this guy here, will be basically attached to all the transformer wires coming out of the end, just straight attachments. And then this guy just plugs into here. And then there's a little bit of work you have to do. You got to attach this part to your choice of RCA cable. I mean, it's limitless what you can do here. You can use just a stock RCA cable that I purchased at the same store. They're very nice quality. You could use Conair cable, which I might do on another version in the future. Doesn't really matter. They're all going to work. So you use the 32 gauge, or this might even be 34 gauge transformer wire. You have the D-sub connector attached to the end of it, and then you attach it once it's installed to the appropriate connector here. I'm going to stop right here, and I'm going to jump to my soldering station where I'm going to make one of the cables. I will demonstrate one way to do it. Like I said, you can use the heat to tin the end, or with cable like this, you would either have to scrape off the enamel or sandpaper it off, and then I've done it and it works just fine. It's a different approach. So far, both have been working well. Both have been sounding great. So if that's up to you, or use your own choice of cable, no problems. Anyways, we'll stop right here and I'll be right back. All right, friends, we're back at my soldering station, and sorry about a bit of noise, but I am printing more parts today. So we're going to start off with prepping the wire first. Now I've got 4 20-inch lengths of magnet wire right here, and I'm going to cover one way to tin it so you can solder it onto here. The way I'd recommend is, first of all, as I mentioned earlier, use a wire that will basically melt the enamel and allow you to tin the end of it. It'll only work this way if it's the proper wire. So what you do, first of all, clean your handy dandy soldering gun. I got my Weller set to max. And I'm gonna get a really large ball of solder here. And what you do basically, you have to embed the wire in here for at least a few seconds. And there we go. So we got the very tip tinned. I'm going to turn my soldering station just down a bit because we don't need it quite as hot now. And the rest is pretty standard soldering fare. Get a little bit of solder in there. The wire in there. A bit of flow going on. Me and my buddy used to joke about it. It's kind of like soldering hair with wire this fine. But there you go. So you got a nice joint. And afterwards, of course, if you got clips, you'll fold these over with a crimping tool, or I just use pliers. And that'll be it. That's how you make the leads for your Tonearm. All right, guys, back to the other station. All right, guys, we're back. So I got 4 cables prepped, and they come out really, really nice. There's no issues with the holding. Solder works well. It's all good. Now, this is the most egregious, horrendous, and tragic part of the whole equation. You got to braid the cables together. So what I have set up here, I'm just going to adjust this guy a little bit. There we go. Is I got the 2 cables clamped about 1 inch apart. There's really no science to this. That just seems to work out well. And what you want to do is you want to start braiding them so the cables start off kind of like 90 degrees, somewhere around there. And then what you're going to do is you're going to wind these guys. Now, it's not super tight. You're not trying to destroy the cable, just nice and easy. And you can hold a fair bit back so that the two don't intertwine, which they really, really want to get together, but no can do. So eventually what's going to happen is this whole thing will be finished, I assure you. It's not quite as horrendous as it seems. So you can have a nice braid, and once you've done it and you run your fingernail across it, it looks just flawless. So this process is a little time consuming, but it's well worth it. So we've covered the type of wire we use for the Tonearm. The connectors are D-sub female connectors, and again, I'll have the link for those. The connector I use, once the cables pop out the other end, are these waterproof 4-pin connectors. Just fantastic. Look, super nice quality, and they detach easily when you want to take the Tonearm off. And then that's pretty much it in terms of anything that's specific to what I do. But again, guys, keep in mind, this is only one way to do it. You do not have to use this kind of cable. You can use different cable. And again, if you choose different cable, remember, you might have to get a different hole in here. Just, bore it a little bit with a drill bit or something. But it's a 3/32 inch tube. It'll hold a fair bit. What I'm going to do now is I'm just going to show you one with all the fixings installed. I'll be right back. Okay, guys, I'm back. This is my personal Tonearm with the lovely Hana ML cartridge. Now, you go, oh, you have to get a really good... No, it'll work with any cartridge. I have these set up with AT3600s. I've tested it with the Ortofon Red, the Ortofon Blue, the M95EN. I tried a Denon 103. And I like to have a difference in basic response and how the thing sounds. So it's kind of fun to have something like the Blue, which is nice and aggressive and punchy and down to earth. And then you have this lovely, lovely, lovely Hana ML moving coil, and it's a very different character. It's softer, gentler, more detailed though. So the arms take a lot, but I'm going to show you now. So you see the cable is run into this tube, pops out the rubber holder, comes up here and gets attached. And the other end pops out the other end, cables come down, and then they go into the handy dandy connector that we just saw over here, which is this one. And what I do is I cut it really short because you want the flexibility of the fine copper wiring for your Tonearm movement. So that's basically it. I also I have a varying supply of heat shrink, and I have the red, green, white, blue for the connectors. I use a slightly larger size for the actual D-sub ones. And when I hook up internally, which you can't see because of the heat shrink, these guys are really handy because, check it out, this is really fun. You have everything except for white. So you got the red, green, and then you have the yellow and the blue. So the yellow substitutes for the white cable. So at the other end, like when you start hooking it up to the RCA, it's fairly simple. You know, red will be right tip, green will be right ground, white will be left hot, and then the blue will be the left ground. So just to recap, red is right tip, green is right ground, white is left hot, and blue is left ground. So that gets you going and you're off to your phono pre. There's not much else to it in this section here. The next video, I'm not sure how soon it's going to be done, but basically what I might do is add the actual setup for my buddy with the Tonearm I just built. The black and gray one is actually all finished up. It's going to be delivered today or tomorrow. So if I have time, I might do an in situ setup so you guys see how the whole thing gets set up, including balancing, azimuth adjustment, and so forth. And that can be kind of fun. And we'll also get my friend's reaction to it. How's that for a deal? Okay, guys. So thank you so much for coming back for part 2. I hope it was entertaining. And as always, if you enjoyed, please like and subscribe. It really helps my channel. And the files are available, 15 bucks. I think they're on sale till November 1st for like 10 something on printables. Any money going in goes back into the project. It's going to be making more videos and we're going to progress with the Tonearm, the turntable, all the cool things. And I will have a build video coming up for the little pucker eventually. That one's a bit more intense. It's not really anywhere close to a beginner's project. So I'm holding off on that one until we start off with things that are more doable. The Tonearms are doable by most folks. If you have a 3D printer or if you want to buy the parts I'm going to have available or the Tonearm. Super easy, super fun, and come back soon. Take care.